Hey, I'm Brent Hall, and today I'm going to show you how to take pictures like this with one of these.
I'm going to use the drift method. Freaking incredible. Round F16 for that to get that sunburst.
All right, so there's a few things that we need to do this. It's pretty simple, but I'm using a Galaxy Note 8. So the first thing you need is a phone that can do manual exposure of some sort. And most of the things in the past year or two are going to be able to do this. The Galaxy S7, the GS8, the newer iPhones, all the newer LG phones. So you need to make sure you have a phone that can shoot some sort of manual first. So once you have the right phone, the next thing you need is a tripod. So I have this is just a little travel tripod. It's a little Benro thing. I'll put the link in the description to all of the accessories that I use. And also just a note, I'm not affiliated or sponsored by anything. These are the things that I have. So I'll have those links in the description. Okay, so with the tripod, you need some sort of mount. I use this Ulanzi mount. It's a metal one. I got it because there's no spring-loaded thing. It's all screwed in, so it'll make sure that I don't lose my phone. And this thing is a standard 1/4-20, so it can mount to any kind of tripod. If you have, I don't know where my other tripod is, but I have another travel tripod that works for either DSLRs or phones or whatever, but it'll work with any type of tripod. So once you have your tripod and your phone that shoots manual, the next thing that you need is filters. And if you wait until evening time, it's getting to be evening time now, but I'm probably still going to want a filter. The longer you wait, the lower the light goes, the less you'll need a filter. So if you don't have filters, or if you don't want filters, then wait until after around evening time, and all you need is a phone and a tripod. So what I have here is I have these newer ND filters, and there's 3 of them. They are little, I think these are like 37 mil. They're standard, tiny size, but they're just little tiny filters. And I stack them. Their ND filters are ND2, ND4, and ND8. They come in a little pack with this little case. It's like $15 or something like that. The link is in the description for that as well. And then I have this little clip-on thing here, and that is separate, and I think that was like $10, and that just so that I can clip these on over the phone. So if you don't know what ND filters are and you want to learn more about ND filters and circular polarizers, then check here, and I did another video on that as well, so you can get caught up on what those are and if you need them or want them. But for this purposes, it's definitely going to be beneficial to have them. So the next thing that you might want is a circular polarizer, and they do make them in this size, and they're like, again, 10 to 20 bucks for the circular polarizer. I don't have one, but what I do have is I have just another one for my DSLRs, and this of course is a much higher quality one, but it doesn't matter. This is what I have. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hold this over like this and rotate it. So what this does is it's like your sunglasses. It'll cut the glare, and it'll take the reflection off of the water. So if you want to see down in there or whatever, this will also give you a little bit more it'll also darken the image a little bit more as well. So maybe like a third of a stop or a half a stop or something, but it'll give you a little extra ND type blockage there. So I'm just gonna hold this over and do that and get the glare cut out of the image. Okay, so I've got my tripod, got my phone, got my filters, and I've got some sort of what passes as a creek around here, around these parts. So we're gonna go get some waterfall shots. Let's talk about exposures real quick. If you want that silky smooth water, depending on the size of the waterfall, of course, but you wanna slow it down anything from like 1/3 of a second, half of a second, all the way even higher, up to 30 seconds if you could do it. This phone can only do 10 seconds. But it's still too bright out here for me to do a 10-second exposure. I don't have enough ND filters for that. So what I'm gonna be looking for is between a half a stop and maybe, a half a second, or maybe all the way up to 1 or 2 seconds. 2 seconds, maybe in another 10-15 minutes I'll be able to pull that off. So the longer the exposure, the more silky the water is, and if you have a pool and there's like, you know, a little eddy and stuff, the more exaggerated that's going to be. All right, last thing concerning settings, make sure again you're in manual mode, and make sure that your ISO is as low as it can go. So the lowest mine can go on the Note 8 is 50. So my ISO is set to 50. And since you're going to be dealing with long exposures, if your phone has a timer mode, like a 2-second timer, you can enable that, and that will help to, because if you touch it, it could make the whole thing shake a little bit. So put it in 2-second timer or 10-second timer or whatever, and you hit it and then step back, and then it'll take 2 seconds and then it'll take the picture. And for longer exposures, that's definitely a huge help. So the reason why I say you want filters for this is because, like, if you were shooting on a DSLR, you could probably get away without filters in that you can change your aperture. But on the cell phones, you can't change the aperture. So it's always going to be wide open. And these things are like f1.8 or something. Ridiculous. So they're always wide open. So you need those filters to cut that down, again, unless you're shooting at night or near nighttime. So if you're doing this during the daytime and it's super bright outside, obviously you're going to need a lot more. And even these 3 stacked with my circular polarizer is still not enough to get even a half a second. So if you want to stimulate a much longer exposure, like a 5 or 10-second exposure, there's another trick that you can do, and that is through editing in Photoshop. And if you want to know more about that, I did another tutorial on that, and you can find that up here, so you can check that out. And what that is basically there's a way in Photoshop to take a bunch of images and blend them together, and it will average out the exposure time. So if you take 10 shots at half a second and you blend them together using this method, you can get an effective 5-second exposure. And what that'll do is it'll blend the water and make it look like you took a 5-second exposure. So if you want to learn how to do that, you do need Photoshop, not just Lightroom, you need Photoshop. So again, I'll put the link for that tutorial in the description below. And if you want to try that out and combine it with the shots that you're doing, if not, if you get the shot and you're happy with it, then just open up Lightroom Mobile or whatever app you're using on your phone and clean it up and make it look pretty, and you're done. All right, that's about it. It's a super simple technique, and you can definitely do it with phones, and it should open up a whole new world of creativity for you. I hope you enjoyed that. If you have any questions about any other technical things that you want to know, leave them in the comments below, and definitely make sure you subscribe to my channel. Check out the rest of my tutorials, and I'll see you in the next video.